Hello, sixth grade. So I am going to go through an example of a compare contrast essay here so that I can help you prepare for your compare contrast essay for social studies. So remember that my assignment is for you to compare and contrast two different ancient civilizations, such as ancient China and ancient Egypt. Or you may choose ancient China and a different ancient civilization that we've already studied this year. But here's an example here that I'm going to go through with you paragraph by paragraph and just show you some expectations for this assignment. So as you can see here, it's titled Elementary School and Middle Schools, the Differences and Similarities. So first and foremost, we see that we have a title for our essay. Okay. So I will go by paragraph and just give you some information about all of this. So here we go. So it starts off saying, what is it like to transition from elementary to middle school? That is a question many kids ask each year. Having experienced both, I can tell you that there are plenty of similarities as well as some very big differences between the two types of schools. So you notice here that we have a hook. And their hook is beginning with a question. I encourage you, though, to look back in the writing section of your binders and look at some different, possibly stronger sixth grade level hooks that you can use, some figurative language, some imagery, some strong or powerful sources or quotes to help hook in your reader during this essay. Okay. Then you notice here that they are revealing the two topics that they are talking about. So in that introduction paragraph, you want to reveal what you're talking about. So reveal the two topics. Okay. So you can see here that we are talking about elementary school and middle school. Okay. Two types of schools. Okay. All right, next paragraph. Elementary school and middle schools have many traits in common. Typically, both are often 5 days a week for a set of number of hours each day. Students sit at desks in classrooms and are expected to listen to and learn from their teachers. There is a set time for lunch. Each day, students are given homework, assignments. Students take quizzes and tests. In all of these ways, middle schools should feel somewhat familiar to new students. So here, you can see that they first start out with a topic sentence. And I'm sure from some key words, you can infer that this paragraph is all about their similarities. You see words like common, okay? Um, you also see words, even this transition in all of these ways sort of helps you figure out that and that word both as well, that they're talking about their similarities. So here in this paragraph, they are explaining the similarities. Okay. You can also use words like alike, words like same, and remember that there are additional words. Sorry for moving that paper. There are additional uh, words that you can look for in your notes for compare contrast in the power vocab section of your binder that will help you out with some more strong power words for talking about similarities. All right, next paragraph. However, there are some big changes that new middle school students should be aware of. In elementary school, students usually stay in the same classroom with one teacher for most of the day. That is not the case in middle school, where students typically have a different teacher for each subject. Students must move to a different classroom for each subject, too. Since there is not one classroom in which to store supplies, middle schools often provide students with lockers. For many kids, getting a locker is a welcome rite of passage. So I'm sure you can see here that they have this paragraph is filled with words like however, words like different, um, maybe even a phrase like that is not the case. Okay. So those are some key words, along with words like but or the fancy but, which is however. You also have by contrast. On the other hand, although, or whereas. Sorry here. Okay. Those are some other key words that I'll be looking for as I read your essays to explain the differences. Okay. So they use this paragraph to explain the differences. Again, note that they still have that topic sentence. Okay. To introduce the new topic, which is important for each paragraph as well. All right, and our last paragraph here. So it says, making the move from elementary school to middle school may seem scary, but knowing what to expect can really help elementary schools provide kids with the experiences they need to be ready for middle school. Even though moving on means adjusting to a new environment, some things, including many of the classmates who accompany you, will remain the same. So here you see that in the conclusion paragraph, they are reminding you about the two topics. Okay. And that very important question that we all need to make sure that we answer when completing an essay is the so why. Why is this important? Why do we need to know? Why is it worth writing an essay about? Not just because Miss Garcia is making me do it or my parents are making me do it during this time, but why is this important? So as you write your essay, you'll be writing about why is it important that we know the similarities and differences between ancient China and then whatever other ancient civilization that you choose. So if we take a quick look at the organization of this essay, okay, you'll notice that we start with the introduction, okay, introducing the two topics, making sure that the reader knows exactly what we are going to be writing about. Sorry for that glare there. Okay, then we're moving on to the similarities. So the second paragraph here discusses all about the similarities between the two topics that they chose, middle school and elementary school. And after that, they mention the differences, all the contrasting or differences about those two topics, and they finish it out with a paragraph, their conclusion. So you can see that on average, it's about a 4-paragraph essay. However, you know that Miss Garcia always says, toilet paper, as much as it takes to get the job done. Okay. So this is a typical process of how to write a compare contrast essay. There are other ways to write it, but I want to encourage you to write it in this format since I'm not here to answer, you're not here for me to answer questions directly and help you out one-on-one. This would probably be the easiest format to use at this point. Okay, so I do also want to show you, now this is an example that I have from last year. If I was going to ask you to write an essay comparing contrasting using two specific parts of a branch, in this case, you're talking about one whole civilization versus another civilization. But this is one that we discussed last year. If we were going to compare and contrast merchants versus peasants, you can see that here in the center, we have the similarities, okay? And so you would have a paragraph about the similarities there. And then you can see that there are the differences, and reminding you that when you plan, when you use your scratch pad to plan your compare contrast essay, that when you are contrasting, it's a one-to-one correspondence. So if you're going to speak about, like in this example, how merchants lived, then the other corresponding contrast should be explaining how peasants lived. If you were going to then talk about the work that merchants had to do, then you want to talk about the work that peasants had to do that might have been different. Okay. Maybe the money that they earned might be different, their daily life might be different, and so on. And then those important parts here, as I mentioned, the so what, which is your introduction paragraph. What are you talking about? How are you going to hook the reader? What are the two topics? And then the so why at the bottom. Okay. Your closing paragraph, the explaining why is this important, reminding me of the two topics that you discussed. And I just want to also throw out there a reminder that don't speak directly to the reader. So some of you are in the habit of writing, I am going to tell you about, or I am going to write about, or keep reading and I will tell you. I shouldn't hear or read any of those in your essays. Stick to simply writing it out, because I'm obviously going to read it. And so I know what you're going to tell me about because I'm going to read what you're talking about. Okay? So, again, keeping to this format here, introduction, talk about the similarities of the two ancient civilizations, discuss the differences between the two, and then the conclusion as well, just to remind you. Now, again, I want to encourage you to use powerful compare contrast words. I'm going to be looking for those as I read your writing, and to really dig deep. Use all the sources that I'm providing you to get as much information as you can on the two ancient civilizations that you'll be writing on. Using your sources, make sure you're citing your sources and digging a little bit deeper, rather than just saying, oh, they both have achievements and they both have religions. I mean, what would be similar between those religions, or what would be different between those religions? What would be similar about their social structure, or what would be different about their social structure? Make sure you dig just a little bit deeper there for me. Alrighty. So if you have any questions, as always, please feel free to email me, comment, or even Flipgrid me for some more information. All right. Have a great one.